Hello, and welcome back to What If Civilization Started in America, Chapter 2. Um, if you realize that the map does look a bit different to where we left off, and that is because I recorded this whole episode and then realized that I wasn't recording. The most stupid mistake ever, and I've had to try and I even exited out of the paint.net file, which meant that I had to manually redraw the thing from my previous thumbnail. I had to manually redraw the borders. I tried my best. I mean the provinces are still there. I drew provinces for the areas, and I'm be trying to kind of match those provinces so I don't have to redraw more provinces because I did spend a while doing that. But what I did add though, hold on, if I quickly get rid of this capital over here, I have no idea why that's there. Added some ideologies. So I'm gonna quickly go through all the governments of the different countries. First of all, the blue and the red country descended from the same origin, so they're both very powerful monarchies, aristocrats, noble families hold the power, and they all serve to a king. They all pay tribute. Now, the Green Country is also a monarchy, but there's kind of more parliament. It's not a constitutional monarchy because the king can completely overrule pass any laws he wants. But the government has more influence. But then if you go over to the Pink Country, a country formed out of unfairness, a lack of rights in the Red Country, they're actually communist. Well, I say communist, they're like a neo-communist society. They're the first early forms of communism where everyone gets a say in society. Obviously, there are still leaders, and it's not as perfect as they pretend it is. But yeah, that is the ideologies for now. Crown representing monarchy, which by the way, I had to make this crown symbol by myself. Don't know why Paint.net doesn't have a crown. I was gonna get the fancy communism symbol, but I'm not drawing that in Paint.net. Thank you. So yeah, I just put a star because China has stars. Stars are kind of similarized with communism. To start off this chapter, we're gonna have something going on in the Blue Kingdom. We see unfortunately the leader of the Blue Kingdom has died of natural causes. No assassination, no plots from the Red Nation, but we see the Blue King die and is replaced by their son. Now, the Blue King, as previously mentioned, the Blue Country was under a kind of isolationist, anti-expansionist policy. But now that this new son has taken over, this new son is very expansionist. They encourage the rivalry between the red team. They feel like they are superior and they should deserve to control over all of this. So this you know gives way for what's about to happen in this episode, where we're going to see a bunch of North America. I say North America, the whole continent's North America. We see these original countries start their expansion this way. We see the Blue Country as the first country to send out, a party, an expedition. We see them originally begin going west, seeing what else there is before changing their attention south, as they don't want to get cut off by the red team. They're basically southern neighbors. I mean, they're getting kind of cut off around here. Um, but this is not long before the red team, know that hold on a minute, the blues are exploring land that we haven't explored, and the reds sent out their own expedition team, as well as the green. And not before long, we see a load, a large amount of land be discovered by all these countries. Eventually, we see a group from the green team. Eventually, we see a group from the green team. A pretty sizable party, um, managed to make their way all the way down the east coast into Florida. And what we see happening is this group breaking off from the green country, just which is kind of ironic because that is exactly how the green country formed. They broke it from the red after exploring. But this time, rather than hiding it from the red team, the pink team are just gonna be like, you know what? We're breaking away. We're forming our own country. Um, we want to be peaceful. We want to vibe. Leave us alone. And the green countries will be like, all right, we're gonna focus on, controlling this land over here. We see the formation of the pink team right here, situated in Florida. Pretty big country for, how little people there were, but there is an influx of people, from all three of these countries ending up down in Florida, just settling here for like a better life, one that's less controlled. Um, they place the capital right here, right at the tip of the peninsula of Florida. Like literally every other country, the pink team becomes a monarchy. Aside from this magenta-ish country up here, most countries are monarchies. But this doesn't end here because everyone is still looking for more land to grab. And we see the expedition, increasingly expand till we, get a huge land up here. We also see the blue team send out, expedition crews up here, even managing to reach this area of Canada, which I forgot the name. We also see, the magenta team, they send out some explorers, but like it's mostly cold wasteland up here. So, you're kind of wasting your time if you're going up here, if you ask me. Could be resources here, but they can't really utilize them at this point in, the evolution. But now is where things get interesting because we've got all this land, but who's going to get it? Who's going to be the first country to act? Well, by the fact I just grabbed the green country's color, it's going to be the green country. We've seen the green country snake down the coastline, blocking off the red country from even reaching the coast. We've seen them gain a pretty large amount of land. This is before the red team starts, mass migrating people into the south, taking huge chunks of their land for themselves. We also see the blue team begin to, expand in their territory all around, really. They're just kind of like getting out there, vibing. Now, here's where we see something interesting happening. We see the red and the blue country come to a little agreement about this land. We see them draw up a line, kind of like Spain and Portugal splitting the Americas. We see this line being drawn that states that anything above this is for the blue countries to claim, anything below it is for the red countries to claim. But obviously, they don't just get this, but this is kind of a treaty they've signed on, so, the red, they're not going to take any more of this land, and when the blue pushes down here, they're not going to push into this. But that does mean we do see the blue country go ahead and take this bit of land over here, completing their border, while also, pushing to some more land over here, getting rid of this really ugly straight line that might have just even been made even uglier by these random drawings I'm adding to their border. Hold on, this is really annoying me. Okay, that is slightly better. Unlike the red and the blue team, the red and the green team do not, in fact, make a treaty. They just keep fighting over the land. Luckily, there's no hostility between the two countries at the moment, as both expedition groups live in harmony, with no unintended conflict happening. However, later on in the expansion southward of these two, I would say powers, but there's very little countries on Earth, but they're strong. They they could bring much damage to each other respectively. We see a little skirmish go on here where green troops allegedly attacked and killed, 3 red troops that were just patrolling the area, trying to live their life. 3 red citizens. I said troops, they weren't soldiers, they weren't military trained, they were just vibing, doing their thing. However, I said supposedly. This is actually a lie from the red team. The red team have made this whole thing up that the green team attacked the red team just so they could declare war. And why do they do this? Well, they want this land. They want coastal access. Coastal access has great opportunities, and they also want to know what's this way? Like, they have no idea of this world, and they also want to cut off the green team. So they declare war on the green team. Hold on, let me turn ideologies on. They declare war on the green team, justifying that it's reasoned. They were attacked. Although they weren't, everyone believes this, and war support in the red country is all-time high. Loads of people are signing up for the military. The military is mobilized, and at the moment it significantly outclasses the green military. We see the red military, having already stationed their troops along this border, instantly invade this new barely protected land, easily taking out anyone that's there, even getting people to join their country, in order to preserve lives. We see them push up to around here, where they eventually meet some Green Army troops, as the Green Army has troops stationed like all around here in order to protect one of their major cities. We see the red team also charge in from the north, attempting to split the country in two. However, they are unsuccessful, as a small green force manages to connect the bridge. This force eventually leads to a humiliating defeat by the Reds, as they are somehow encircled by a much smaller force and, eventually crushed, which is a huge blow for the Red Army. But this doesn't actually cause much, as the Red Army still outclasses the Green Army by a lot. We see the Reds make further gain up here. Whilst the Greens are, outmatched definitely down here, due to this encirclement, they do manage to push out the Red forces, and they even begin their own invasion into Red territory, managing to make, a push to the Red Army, the Red major city is what I meant, which does cause the Reds to, pull out of some areas. They pull out of this area, allowing the green team connection with its country again, which does lead to the red team managing to completely push the greens out of here, and even launch their offensive in the north again with even more troops, as it's basically full on conscription in the red country. They're just pumping out as many soldiers as they can, which everyone's all for. They don't know the true horrors of war. They don't know what it's like. All they know is that they're fighting for their country, or at least they think they are. After a long winter, we see the green team eventually get their resources depleted, as the red team that has been in much better equipment, they're staying in much nicer conditions, as the red team has been planning this operation for a while, and they're prepared for the winter. We can eventually take all of this, nearing the green major city. Well, in the north, we actually see them take the major city of the Greens, before even managing to cut off this whole area. After a while, we see the red team make even more gains, before they begin marching down over here, threatening the capital. Before they take this whole peninsula, there's no resistance. The Green Army's fled to the capital. This eventually leads to this whole area of the green country to be capitulated, until we're eventually just left with this giant chunk of land up here and the green capital. This is where the green country decides, hold on a minute, we're not winning this war. We should just accept the peace treaty before we lose our capital and more people are dead. So that is what's going to happen. The Greens are going to surrender to the Reds, and we're going to get a peace treaty. You see the green country be absolutely reduced, with the red country gaining all of these provinces, taking all of their coastline down here. We also see them take this bit of land, but something interesting happens. We see this little region of the country actually go ahead and join over with the pink country, magenta country, hoping to live a better life, because they fear that they will be subjugated to red terror. And to the world's surprise, the red country don't really care. They don't want to engage in another war, and they've taken more than enough land. Like, if we go ahead and zoom out, look at how big they are. They're absolutely ginormous. They've almost wiped the green country off the map. Which, speaking of wiping things off the map, I am getting rid of these weird black dots that are meant to represent coastline because they are too insignificant and I do not care. I'm also going to be fixing up this border slightly because it's annoying me. Does that mess up a province? It actually doesn't mess up a province, so we're fine. But yeah, this is the peace treaty. We see the magenta country actually gain a significant, part of land compared to the rest of their country, gaining another major city. We see the red country absolutely like double in size. Hold on, we've got a little bit of an error over here. Can you just be colored the right color? Thank you. And then we see the green country reduced to scraps. Surprisingly, it still has, a decent chunk of its major cities. It still has, what, 3 out of the 5 of them? A pretty generous, it's still got its core population. It just lost any chance of, expanding down here. Going over to the blue country now, we see the blue country, followed this line treaty, taking a significant chunk of the land above the line, whilst we see the red country also expanding its borders down here. After a few decades, this is what we end up with the two countries looking like. Red and blue becoming, like double, maybe even triple the size they were at the start. I know I skipped, quite some time, but I didn't want to do any more boring, like, oh, they expanded this, oh, they expanded this. I thought, I've already said enough of that in this video, so I'm just gonna, go and speed up the time process. I'm basically a COD here. So yeah, we got this little bit of jazz. Sorry for my chair, by the way. It's really easy to hear throughout this whole video, but like my back really hurts, and I have to keep adjusting my chair. Like it's literally squeaking so much right now. But yeah, where was I? Yeah, these two giant countries. Let's turn this province map off. We see. I can actually compare the size. This is the red country is 32,000 pixels, and the blue country is 23,000 pixels. The green country is 2,000 pixels. The magenta country is around 6,000 pixels, and the Floridian country is 900 pixels. So the red country is technically bigger than all the other countries combined. But that's expected at the moment. They're a prospering nation. I don't know how much longer that will be for. When people start to move here, and maybe this will cause some, uprest down here. Now, to end this little chapter, we're going to talk about something that I haven't actually touched on at all. I mean, I know it's only chapter 2, so we haven't touched upon a lot of stuff. But I'm going to talk about religions. Now, I don't know how much of a factor these will play, and, how much I'll bring these up, but I do want to, establish some religions, because I think it can create for some interesting conflicts later on. So we're just going to say, boom. Let me quickly turn on a religion map. In the capital of the red country, we're going to have, a messiah, a chosen one. I'm not a religious expert or anything, so I don't want to cause any offense. But we're just going to say that, a new religion is formed. Dark red religion. And this religion spreads by, like rapid fire. Let me speak, please, vocal cords. We see them, instantly spread into the blue capital, which basically just makes like all of this country instantly just become religious, as we see this, religion spread all across the world. Like, I mean, this is obviously over years, but like this expansion is rapid. We also see this religion come out as dominant in the green country, all the way over here. We also see this religion prominent in the old part of, the green country, but what we don't see it as prominent in. Hold on, let me just. What we don't see it as prominent in is, the rest of this country. Like, sure, this country has some, of the red religion, but this main part over here, they're not really religious. They don't have a religion, and, the inclusion of a core religious, part of a country. Hold on, this shouldn't be religious. Core believers will create some further tension in this country. You know, we also see some, like, we see the religion begin to slowly spread into the new areas, but it will take a while as people move. People with different beliefs, you know, begin moving down, as this is kind of like the first main religion. Next chapter, we're going to be introduced to, a new religion. For now, this is going to end the chapter. Let me know if you're like watching and want to continue. You want me to continue with this kind of like religious thing. I don't know how much effort I'll put into this because I don't really want to offend anyone and I'm not an expert in like religions, but I do think it can create some tension later on. Well, I'm thinking of, might be a religion down here in Florida. Next chapter, who knows? Who knows? Florida could become a holy city. But anyway, yeah, that's gonna do it for this chapter. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it might have been a bit rushed because it might be a bit choppy because I'm not very good at recording these types of videos. But anyway, goodbye.